This is the third session of Block 1, Unit 3. Last class we understood about Rural Environment 1, and this session we will understand Rural Environment 2. What are the learning outcomes from the session? After learning the session, you will get to know the impact of cultural aspects of rural environment. You can also discuss the rural environment in the context of rural economy. What is the role of rural environment in rural economy? You can describe the impact of physical environment, can analyze and utilize the implication of rural environment for strategic decision making process. So these are the learning outcomes from this session. Let's start with environment. Introduction. In the previous unit, we understood the aspect of political, society, social and technological environment, which are important and unique to rural India. In this unit, you will get to know and understand the cultural, economic and physical environment in rural India. The cultural environment largely constitutes the software issues, and the economic environment, as we know, it is all about the transaction or the factual economic realities and related issues. Social environment were important to understand in the context of marketing and for the marketers also, because they talked about deep rooted social norms. Everything we will understand in detail, but for the introduction purpose, you must remember last class we understood cultural, economic and physical environment. This class we are going to understand your social environment, then factual environment or the economic environment of business. One has to understand that for a country like India, the challenges are diversified. There are many languages, many cultures, many societies, many religions, religious faith and belief. So we cannot take everything into one concept that this type of marketing can help the product to grow more or to sell more number of product by having this particular strategy in rural India. If India is diversified, so also the rural belt of India. It is a nation with many languages, many traditions, many rituals, many tribes, and overall, the region is almost like a country. Again, the role of women, we have already discussed in rural, is now evolving as a partner in sharing family economic burden. No more the women are only restricted to family affair, to how, along with the household activities, they are now also contributing the economic burden of family. That means they have also started earning. In this discussion of political environment, it reflected on how rural in India cannot be left behind in the disaster. As people, we are strongly having the opinion and argumenting in nature that rural belt is also growing in purchasing power, in decision making process, and in choosing the products also. So to start the session, you need to understand beyond cultural, economic and physical environment, it is also equally important to understand the social environment as well as other economic activities associated with it. Let's understand what is culture. All of you know this word. This is a common word. Everybody knows it. But what exactly it means or how you are going to define it? Culture is a set of values and beliefs. Culture is shared by the people who have faith in that particular norms, the values and beliefs. Culture includes ideas, customs, social behaviors shared by a society or a group. Let's, for example, in northern belt of India or northern side of India, Diwali is a popular culture. Why it is popular at north side of India? Why it is not popular at the south side of the India? Because people at north belt or north side, they used to think it is the auspicious occasion to worship Lord Lakshmi, worship goddess Lakshmi. But when it comes to south belt or the south side of India, it is not so popular because people don't believe in it. They believe in different pujas, they believe in different faith, different concept. So culture is having a set of values and beliefs, and the people who obey that culture, they maintain the cultural values and them. Then only it will be named as particular culture of a particular place. Culture is again learned from family and society. A child picks up core values first from the family, then from the school, friends, workplace, and society. A child in our society, a child greets the older generation by saying pranam or namaskar. That is the culture he is speaking of from the core family values. Then slowly he moves to the school. Then he understands this is the way to behave in school. This is the way to talk to the teachers. This is the way to discuss with friends. This slowly makes the component of culture for that particular child. Culture guides individual behavior. These values influence how people think, act, consume, and interact with each other. If your behavior is not accepted by your society or not accepted by your core people or peer groups in your society, then you are not adapting the culture. There is a certain set of behavior. If you go to China or Japan, they will not shake hand with you because it is not their culture. They have a different gesture to greet you. So also in India, in our joint family, nuclear family, we have a different gesture to greet our guest. So culture usually guides individual behavior. When it accumulates in a group and convert the individual behavior to the group behavior, it becomes the established culture of particular area or geographical location. Culture is invisible, but it is yet powerful. You cannot see the culture always. It is sometimes obeyed, sometimes understood, sometimes deeply rooted in the individual perception and attitude, but it is yet powerful. This word is important to understand why it is powerful. Culture is powerful because it guides individual behavior. When it is guiding the individual behavior, it is having impact on the thinking process of the person. The thinking process of the person is deciding what to buy and what not to buy. This concept or this phase is important for the marketers because when it comes to the decision of buying or not buying, due to cultural impact or due to the thinking process of a particular culture, the marketer has to take a note of this. So it is written invisible but powerful. Culture shapes consumer decision. Like just we discussed, what people buy or reject often depends on whether it fits their cultural beliefs or not. We can take an example. Suppose in our culture, while visiting temple, we always purchase diyas, but in Christian culture, they purchase candles. In different culture, they have a different set of behavior. So, if the marketer is not focusing the right consumer behavior, and if is offering candles to Hindu religious people, it is not going to be a product accepted by the people. So if the other way it happens, it is also not going to be accepted by the Christian people. So marketer needs to take sufficient care of particular culture of the region or the geographical location where he is planning to sell his product, where he is planning to set his business. Let's take an example, marketing failures due to cultural mismatch. You may have a question in your mind. If culture is so important, where is the evidence on it? Evidences are many. Established companies are also facing these challenges. Established companies hard face these challenges. Suppose there is a sunfist pasta we introduced in the mid 2000s, 2010 onwards. It is a pasta that suggested the cooking process to add garlic to boiling milk. The brand is Sunfest, and they had a cooking process where the consumer will add garlic to the boiling milk. In India, milk is considered as holy, or it is sacred, eating sacred food to eat. Mixing garlic with it is culturally not acceptable. All of you know this. Why garlic we consider as non-veg, and milk we consider something to offer to God, and it is generally believed to be a sacred item to eat. So what was the result? Result was people of India rejected this product, that is Sunfish pizza pasta. Same also Tani's jewelry art in the year 2020 featured an interfaith marriage in a family setting. If you remember, there was an ad on interfaith marriage. Some viewers found it culturally sensitive, leading to strong backlash. People didn't accept it. Result is what? Advertisement was withdrawn to avoid further controversy. See, these are all established brands. Tanishq Jewelry is an established brand, but at some time of failure, he also forced to take away or withdraw his advertisement that was featuring an interfaith marriage. India's culture is not accepting that. So culture is important in context of marketing, to push your brand, to establish your brand, to do the advertising, to do other marketing activities. Marketers need to understand what is the culture. Culture affects our daily lives. Culture shapes every day's routine of ours. Even for you, culture is affecting. Even for me, culture is also affecting. Simple acts like brushing teeth or eating breakfast are influenced by our cultural habits. If it is Monday, we are not eating non-veg. If it is Wednesday, we are taking non-veg. This is a simple example of our culture and the influence of our culture on our eating habits or the choice of eating habits. So even if you cross check in your particular locality, people are not selling non-veg specifically on Mondays, and that too on Shravan Mondays, you won't find that rush at the non-veg counters. Shift in the morning routine. This is a common example. Earlier, people brushed their teeth first thing in the morning. The moment they wake up, they usually brush their teeth. But nowadays, what people are doing, most are checking their mobile phones before anything else in the morning. So there is a shift, there is a change in morning routine of people, and it is also impacting the culture. Culture acts in daily life. Rituals, festivals, social customs like birthdays, anniversary, funerals are all culturally guided. For example, can you remember how your grandfather ever celebrated their birthdays by cutting a cake? No. The answer is simply no. But if can you imagine your birthday without cutting a cake in 2025? Answer is again no. So that means every point of time of our life, let it be a festival, a culture, or a social get together, or social customs, culture is affecting us. Even if you can see the change in marriage rituals also. Nowadays, rituals are getting mix and match for a event like marriage. So culture is affecting us. If it is affecting us, we are obeying it and we are changing our behavior for that. So it is also equally affecting the consumer behavior pattern or the purchase decision making process. You can check your own culture. You can refer the table, like note down your daily activity from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Then what you do during 8 to 10, then 10 to 5. Likewise, you can note down your daily activity so that you can easily understand how your culture is impacting your individual life. So the common takeaway from this discussion, marketers who are preparing to establish their brand in rural belt cannot avoid the cultural dimension of it. Role of culture in rural life. Culture is deeply rooted in rural areas specifically, not in urban. In rural areas, traditions are followed more strictly, often passed down from for generations. Quite clear in understanding. Whatever they are having traditions, they are completely following that tradition. Some changes we are marking and observing in urban areas, but in rural areas, traditions are closely associated with individuals' life. Limited exposure due to less access to education and media, cultural practices remain unchanged over time. These people are also not changing their behavior because they are not aware of any changes happening beyond their villages. So they are adhering to that particular cultural movement, cultural aspect of that village. Strong evidence of culture, daily routines, social roles, festivals, and even consumption habits are strongly guided by tradition. If you go to the side of Haryana, Punjab, they have a habit of having paratha and makhan in their consumption of breakfast. If you offer the same food in eastern belt of India, West Bengal and Odisha, people will not be that interested to have that. They have a different set of kind of breakfast item here. If you offer the same to South Indian people also, they will reject it because they have a different set of breakfast items. But nobody no these people will never change their pattern of eating due to any other factors or any other environmental changes. They will strongly adhere to their original culture or the culture they are observing since their childhood. And eating breakfast with different items is a simple example for this. Understanding rural markets constitutes these people only. Marketers must respect and align these rural cultural values when introducing products. You cannot introduce bread at Punjab and Haryana because they prefer paratha to eat in their breakfast. You cannot introduce idli to Kashmir side people because they have a different type of breakfast to eat. You cannot sell product like cornflakes and other products in eastern belt or any other belt of India because they have a set concept for their cultural breakfast items. So, understanding these cultural aspects or the factors that affect human consumption behavior or consumer buying behavior linked with cultural dimension is a must. It's a critical factor for the marketers to understand, then to take care of it. The caste system in India, all of you know this. Caste system is not that visible nowadays, but it was there. Caste system as a barrier. Age-old caste division still influence many aspects of rural life and slow social progress. In rural life, caste system is still existing and it is behaving like a barrier in rural life of India's rural life. People are still believing the caste system. The caste system also influencing their aspects of rural life. Caste system is also impacting on their day-to-day life. And the marketer can also forget the caste system as a marketing barrier for them. Deep-rooted hierarchy. Caste defines roles, responsibilities, and social status in villages across India. Previously, in the people were having the profession as per their caste, anyone who is into cleaning the houses, they have a different caste. Anyone who is into cutting and chopping of vegetables, they have a different caste. So anyone who is into what is that, rubber item production or different item of production, they are into different castes. So defining roles and responsibility as per the caste was there in our system, and today it is also there in system. So marketers need to take care of this. Origin in the Vedic era, initially meant to organize labor, not to create social inequalities due to caste system, but over the time it became rigid and discriminatory. Originally, it was developed, or caste system was developed only to organize the labor. But slowly, what it did, it created social inequalities among people, among laborers, those who are doing low level of work. Their people, society has started taking them as a different caste, and we have another concept that is called non-touchability, or people don't used to touch them. This system were there. Nowadays we are not having those system prominently in system, but we cannot avoid that there was no impact, or there is no impact of caste system in rural India, specifically in rural India. Unequal social perception. The same job is viewed differently based on who does it, and reflecting deep social biases. People used to have strong biases while discriminating the jobs, discriminating the people who does it. Like simple example, cleaning the drains. Those who clean it, that is a function of job, they are doing it, but society view them as those view them in a different way. You can call their society view them as a low caste people. And for marketers it is equally important because they are producing or they are selling the products, keeping in mind all factors required to understand for their marketing purpose. How the society is divided due to this. This caste-based perception continue even today, affecting how we view certain professions and people's dignity of work. Due to this caste system, lack of dignity for certain jobs. In India, working in jobs like restaurant services often seen as low status service, even for educated individuals. But if you go out from India in foreign lands, there is no thinking or no perception like this. If you are working in a restaurant, this is normally viewed as a low status job. Contrast with Western society, it is not that every job is equally respected regardless of social class. Modern agri entrepreneurs, educated youth taking up farming, that is dragon fruit farming, for example, are praised and even it is glamorized in place of or while comparing it against farming of normal wheat and grain, because this is also getting established as modern agri entrepreneurs. People or society is perceiving them as more as a prestigious job to do, whereas the normal agricultural activities like cultivating fruits, vegetables, wheat and grains are uh, not that high value, not that high value job in society. They don't, traditional farmers are not enjoying the same respect, so and they feel that there is a bias in the society. Think about it, why the same job admired when done by an urban youth, but it is not admired when it is done by the rural farmer. They're doing the same job function. Agriculture, both are doing. One is into dragon fruit farming, another is into wheat and grain farming. Why the thinking process is different for them? The society is admiring the dragon fruit farmer, but the society is not valuing rightly the farmer who is cultivating or the wheat and grain. So this is contributing towards the social life of individuals of rural belt. Occupational restriction. Caste often determines who can do what kind of work, limiting occupational freedom. Caste usually restrict people that you cannot do this because your caste is not permitting. You cannot go for higher value job because your caste is not permitting. So that people are having limitation on their occupational freedom. Barriers in land ownership, caste differences can block land purchase, sell, and even cultivation, sometimes leading to violent disputes. Caste differences, all of you may have evidences or examples for this. Due to caste, some farmers are not able to purchase the land they wanted to purchase. They wanted to cultivate because the caste barrier is there to limit their purchasing power. Access to amenities. Lower caste may be denied to access to shared resources like hand pumps near the upper caste homes. This may sound unnatural nowadays, but if you go to any rural belt, these aspects of life are still existing, and the marketer has to take a proper note of that. Uneven distribution of benefits. Government welfare schemes may not reach everyone equally due to the social biases like this. So these are the factors due to caste system, and it all these factors are contributing to make a social environment of individuals, and marketers need to take care of these things. There are many taboos, biases, and political influences. Though some reforms have helped to reduce this kind of discrimination, caste-based taboos and biases still shape rural life in powerful ways. Daily life taboos, caste creates mental and social restrictions, saying where people can go, where people can eat, and to with whom they can interact. Limited social mobility. Lower caste people are often confined to certain roles, spaces, and privileges. They cannot go for higher. They cannot go as per their own decision. Society has some limitation on them. Impact on community development. Social division restricts unity and progress at the village level. Political angle, local parties often plays a role in preserving caste-based power structure. Signs of changes are visible. Digital initiatives like Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile linkage have helped in direct benefit transfers, reducing the middleman and caste-based filtering. This is the initiative, and the benefit of this initiative is now visible by the change makers. But Marketer cannot forget. There are some taboos in societies, there are complete biasness in society, and there are also political influences in society, and this directly affect the consumer buying behavior. Let's understand culture through food, clothing, and language. Visible reflection on culture. Culture is often seen through what people eat, what they wear, and what they speak. Local traditions travel to interior villages, shows unique food habits, dress style, and many other aspects, many other things they usually do in their daily lives. Urban influence, many rural cultural elements have influenced modern lifestyle, that is regional food or attire in metros. Urban is influencing rural people to change their food habits, to change their food style, and to change their attires also, or the way they used to wear the clothes or have the clothes. Cultural norms stay constant. During the rituals and social customs, core norms like hygiene and procedures remain the same still at cities, still and villages. But you can also understand, the marketer can understand through their food and living style or the way they speak what is the culture of this particular locality. Food as a cultural maker, how the food is contributing to a culture of a particular society. From gathering to growing, human history shows a shift. Food gathering to farming, but the purpose of eating hasn't changed. Usually, people used to gather the food. Slowly, they have started farming the food. But now the eating purpose has not changed yet. Same purpose, different context. Whether eating at home or in a fine dining restaurant or at a street bowl, we eat to satisfy hunger and nurture ourselves. That means eating style has not been impacted by culture, but the way of farming, the way we gather food has have changed. Why we eat versus what we eat. Eat. The reason for eating is universal to satisfy the hunger. But what we eat differs based on culture, tradition, and location. This is clear in our understanding. As per our preferences, as per our culture, we take our food. We cannot change that due to any external forces. Understanding food patterns, regional dishes, ingredients, cooking methods, all are different across the region they used to reside. This helps the marketers to understand local taste and preferences. As per the local taste and preferences, they can develop their product. Food habit across India, culture meets climate. Eastern India, rice based diet. Climate supports rice cultivation, making rice the staple food. Scientifically, easier digestion in humid regions favors rice over the wheat in eastern belt of India. Western India, wheat and millets. In dry climates like Rajasthan, wheat, jawar, bajra, and ragi are more suitable. People used to eat it, and farmers used to cultivate it. Cultural adaptation of dishes. Regional dishes evolve based on climate, crop availability, and history. That means people are acquainted with cooking process related to this particular production of their own land. The story of dal bati churma. This is a common story, and all of you may know this. Let us explore this. The reason how an iconic dish from Rajasthan tells a story of Rajasthani culture. Bati, this is like a wheat balls, small balls, not so big, but small balls. So soldiers picked dough balls in hot sand in Rajasthan after battles as a survival meal. But later on, it turned their tradition. What is the initial purpose of this bati? So in the dry weather, soldiers bake the dough balls. It is made up of atta only. Dough balls in hot sand for their survival meals. But slowly it made the Rajasthani culture. Dal or lentils, traders from Gujarat introduced mixed lentil or panchgran dal, a nutritious match for the party. Along with bati, they have started taking dals. Dals are full of protein, so they mixed dal with batis. Churma is a sweet crumble, accidentally created when sugarcane juice softened bati. Accidentally it happened, but now into their culture. Later, they enhanced with jaggery, cardamom, and ghee. They used to pour ghee on it with bati and dal, and they used to crumble the batis in dal with some sweet like jaggery and sugarcane juice on it. And they used to have this dal, bati, and churma as the staple food of Rajasthani, and it is quite popular also. A dish born from circumstances, and it reflects the history, innovation, and regional culture of Rajasthan, now becoming a popular identity of Rajasthan. So this is a story on a food item that has made the culture of Rajasthan, and now it is an established culture. Even if you are going to visit Rajasthan, you will be offered with a plate of dal bati and churma. So marketer has to take a proper note on this. Next comes language as a part of culture. We know this. Language has its own journey. Words often travel across cultures and continents, showing the interconnectedness of human history. Would language display the particular culture of the part of world or India? For example, Sahili and Hindi connection. In Sahili, Duka La Dawa means a medicine shop. Duka means a shop similar to Dukan. Dukan in Hindi. La means of, or in Hindi we call it as Ka. Dawa means medicine, same as Hindi, Dawai. So this is influenced by Hindi language, but it is normally Sahili. Cultural exchange through language shows how languages borrow and evolve even across countries like India and Africa. So if this language is Sahili language is popular in that particular region, being a marketer and you are selling medicine to that region, you have to utilize these words because people will not accept it or people will not accept your product there. Language and rural marketing. India's linguistic diversity. With hundreds of regional languages and dialects, one size doesn't fit for India. This is a common thing we have already understood. If you are strategizing for your marketing activities, you have to take note of this diversity. Marketing needs to be local. Messages must be in vernacular language to be understood by rural consumers. You cannot write the language, you cannot write as per your understanding. You have to write the messages that your company wants to communicate to the consumer from a company itself. It should be in vernacular language or the language the local region understand. Visual communication is key. Due to the low literacy levels at rural belt, rural marketing uses images, symbols, and colors. Those are more accepted. Those are accepted by the particular people, or those are those are in regular uses of that particular belt of people, or else they are not going to accept your communication from company to rural people. You have to use the symbols, the images, the colors, that those are friendly, those are understandable by these people. Right language builds trust. Speaking in the consumer's own language creates better connection and acceptance. Marketers, business, they understand the value of trust building exercise. If you are not building trust with your consumer and you are not speaking their own language, that will not create the proper connection with them. If you're not connecting with your consumers, how you will push your product to them, how you will convince them to purchase your product. So language is equally important for rural marketing. Culture in rural communication, role of semiotics. Understanding semiotics. Semiotics is the science of signs, symbols, language, and shapes in communication. What is the equation in which equation you are using signs, symbols, language, and shapes while communicating your product to the consumers of rural belt? It is important to understand in rural marketing context. Rural audiences or rural consumers may have low literacy rate, so symbols and visuals help them to decode the message in a better way. Even if they don't understand or their understanding is low in right understanding the sentences you have written in your communication, but if you have used any colorful signs, symbols, they can understand it through those only. So, for rural marketing, semiotics or the science of signs, symbols, and languages is always important. Effective communication, that is the way how effectively you are reaching your consumers. Even if you are writing a very good message, if your consumer is not recognizing it, then there is absolutely no value of writing a communication. Success happens when consumers recall the brand or take action. Consumer has to recall the brand. How he will recall the brand if the communication was not that effective? Communication is not having a connecting point with the consumers. So culture fit is crucial. Messages must align with local beliefs, values, and lifestyle for better acceptance by the consumers and as per their need, as per their culture. Celebrity driven rural arts, culture meets connection. Jeevan Sati flagship art, for example, featured by Hema Malini, a beloved Bollywood star. Art used minimal visuals and strong product cues, targeted rural users needing reliable light on dark roads. Pan India Apple made the art suitable across the region. There are many connecting points. All the consumer understand the endorsed person. He is Hema Malini, a Bollywood star. Minimal visual but with strong product cues. The target audience has understood the requirement of reliable light on dark roads and it was a hit. Likewise, Parle-G biscuit art featured in Gabbar Singh movie, an iconic film villain. The person was endorsed by the company to do the advertisement for Parle-G biscuit. Leveraged film nostalgia and cultural imagination. The film was popular one, and the audience of the film immediately got connected with the Parle-G biscuit art because Gabbar Singh had done it. Connected the product to a strong emotional and cultural identity. They have through the advertisement, the company has tried to get a strong emotional connection with Parle-G biscuit and the kids, and between Parle-G biscuit and kids. So it was accepted by Indian rural or consumers. Celebrities, real or real, are powerful when they align with cultural values and resonate with audience imagination. That is a must. Even if you are in a mood to do the best advertisement for your product, if you're forgetting or if you're not prioritizing or if you're not putting sufficient importance on what the sufficient importance on the alignment between cultural values of the consumer and the imagination of the consumer, then your advertisement may not get the success for that. Power of celebrity endorsement in rural marketing. Celebrity influence is stronger in rural areas. Known faces, strong faces, popular faces of their locality. If you are taking them as your advertisement endorsed person, then it will help to build the trust, especially where product differences are minimal. When do endorsement work best? In similar products like soap, snacks, and batteries, all similar functions. The products utilized or used for similar kind of functions. If you're taking a known person, or a known face, and doing your advertisement for that particular rural belt, then people will accept that. For brand image enhancement, if you are in a in a strategy to enhance your brand image, you can take a person known to them. When product features are hard to differentiate because previously we discussed similar kind of product or the product's functions are almost similar, then you have to take the help of an endorsement. Added credibility, celebrities help consumers to build that trust, especially when the literacy rate is low in that particular region. Cultural sensitivity and social messaging. Celebrity voices also help to tackle myths and boost acceptance, especially in public service campaigns. We can take the example of Pulse Polio campaign. Faced early resistance due to the cultural myth, that is a fear of sterilization. But when Mr. Amitabh Bachchan did this or gave his voice for this particular ad campaign, success was visible. Overcoming barriers with trusted faces, people believe that known face or known person and start to get influenced by that advertisement. In public health, education, and new product launches, cultural barriers can be addressed better through celebrity led communication. That is the key understanding of last discussed slides. When you are planning to introduce your product to the rural belt, you have to think of a celebrity led communication. The campaign became a landmark. The campaign became a landmark, the Pulse Polio campaign, of how strategic communication can change the mindset of the consumer. Cultural diversity and segmentation. We know India is a diverse country. While doing the segmentation for your product, you have to take four factors into that. One is geographical, demographic segmentation, behavioral segmentation, and psychographic segmentation. Based on predefined geographic boundaries, the regional needs like type of cities, climate, and other specification, you have to set the strategy for your marketing activities. Based on variables such as age of the consumer, gender, marital status, education level, family size, occupation, and income, you have to segregate the entire rural market for your marketing activities. Likewise, behavioral based on decision making and buying process, which aspect like brand perception they are tracking, or which process they, which the what way they are taking the decision, you have to take a note on this. Psychographic based on values, personalities, lifestyle, and other opinions. So you with four specific dimensions are there when you are segmenting your market to enter or to introduce your product in the rural lifestyle. Culture and psychographic segmentation based on lifestyle, beliefs, values, and preferences. And why it matters? Because rural consumers are diverse, culture plays a huge role as it is deeply rooted. Culture guides segmentation. Marketers use cultural patterns of their particular region to group consumers with similar need and preferences. That is quite easy. If you are taking note on this, you can easily segment your market. Subcultures and micro market targeting. What is subculture? It is a smaller cultural group. All Indians share cultural values, both South Indians and subculture. So unique traits, Tamil, Telugus, Malayalis, they have different kind of subculture. Why it is important in marketing? Because Tamilian may prefer coffee while Malayali may prefer tea. So simple understanding for the marketing activities. Recognizing subcultural differences allows precise segmentation and increase the market penetration and relevance. You can do a small activity based on this. Think of 5 brands which are high impact brands in rural market, and how have these brands used the context of culture in their communication, so that you will get the clarity on this discussion. Understanding rural land ownership in India. Rural economy post 90s gained importance after economic liberalization, shift from poor cousin to key economic contributor. Land ownership defines wealth of a particular consumer, power and survival in rural areas. There are few categories of cultivators. Some are landless cultivators, some are marginal cultivators, some are small, and some are medium to large cultivators. So marketers has to take note of land ownership is the main driver of rural affluence. Rural contribution to India's economy, it accounts nearly 50% of India's GDP, and majority of rural GDP still comes from the agricultural activities. Rural areas are slowly now active in different other non-farming jobs. They are open to new goods and services, and it is strategically important for the marketing point of view or rural marketing point of view, because understanding rural and land patterns helps to decode their consumption style, their way of purchasing capacity. Cultivators versus agricultural laborers. The land ownership, there is a gap between cultivators and agricultural laborers. This land ownership gaps, few are having land, few are not having land. This is establishing a gap between landowners and the cultivators. The number of farmers declined by 7.15 during 2001 to 2011. Agricultural labours increased by 26.02% in the same period. Landless labours are more vulnerable to poverty and market fluctuation because they don't have sufficient purchasing power. Ownership defines the economic mobility and more purchasing power. Sectoral contribution to rural economy, 37% of the rural output comes from agriculture. Based on occupation and economic activity, rural consumer spending habit is also different, and it is significant for rural marketing point of view. Rural spending potential, substantial growth predicted in rural consumption. Rural economy is highly sensitive to weather patterns, market price fluctuation, and crop wastage. So, despite fragility, rural India offers growing opportunity to the marketers if the challenges are managed well by them. Post COVID, the agriculture was a bright spot during COVID. because of good rainfall, farmer optimism, and a supportive ecosystem. And it has an impact on other sectors like manufacturing faced serious setbacks due to pandemic disruption. So people have started taking care of their cultivation. And so state-wise data. So this is again the you can see there is a growth in farming orientation of the people during the period of COVID. Literacy rate in rural India still stand at 71%, still lags behind urban literacy, indicating development challenges. State-wise variation, states like Kerala and West Bengal have high literacy rate, and it is essential for the marketers because they need to assess modern farming techniques, markets, and financial tools, and strong link between literacy and rural employment diversification. These all factors are important for the marketers. There is a decline in agricultural GDP. What are the reasons behind it? Due to migration, land fragmentation, change in crop style, cycle, low productivity. There is again a sharp rise in non-cultural workforce, like labor shift from agriculture to sector like manufacturing and services, and it is showing an established report on buying capacity. This graph shows a higher income in the top quintile from the non-farm activities, and it confirms the growing economic significance in non-farm sectors. What are the key takeaways? Rural economy remains mostly based on agriculture, and but faces pressure like reduced land holdings, falling productivity, shift from the owners to cultivators. There is a rise in non-farm sector, expanding the rural marketing potential, growth in digital spending, infrastructure challenges are still remaining, but challenges remain the same for the rural belt. Rural digitization, a game changer. Digital footprint in rural India. Key milestones are after 95 telecom revolution happened, 2000 internet became the mainstream, 2010 there is a rise in social media, smartphone and digital platform. What are the impacts on rural consumers? They gained the awareness about the product, and they have started comparing the product with another product. But digitization of land records and citizen services has also helped the society or the rural belt to have more information on that. This data is showing the number and growth of rural active internet users in India from 2017 to 2022. Internet penetration in rural markets post COVID 19 acted as the catalyst to the digital adoption in rural India also. Despite modest growth rates, active internet users in rural areas increased, and rural consumers are increasingly getting online scope for their work, education, and service. 750 million smartphone users in 2021, 1 billion expected to be by reached by 2026, and rural users now match urban users in device types, use of internet services. So rural India is no longer tech deprived or mobile deprived. They are also now in the position of good connection with the urban settings. This figure highlights the primary internet activities in rural areas include social media, entertainment consumption, and news access. Interestingly, these uses pattern are very similar to those in urban areas. Financial inclusion initiative in rural belt. A key challenge in the rural physical environment is ensuring financial inclusion. The JAM Trinity, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile has streamlined the direct benefits of transfer to their account and enhancing their purchasing power. Digitization has simplified documentation. Around 30% of the rural ecosystem now uses digital payments. While inclusion has improved, it still faces challenges through UPI driven services have transformed the rural financial landscape. That means you can also pay through your UPI in rural belt. Community empowerment has played a vital role in rural development, especially through self-help groups that supports financial and social inclusion. Initiatives like Sarva Sikhya Abhijan have empowered children and women. Improved infrastructure and access. Infrastructure in rural markets includes roads, railways, banks, healthcare, remain a long-standing challenges. From this data that highlights that while healthcare facilities exist on pen and paper, availability and access remain limited and inconsistent. The data may appear promising, but ground realities reveal the serious gaps in rural health infrastructure and service delivery. Rural connectivity and road, that those are roads and railways. Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana 2000, major rural road development initiative boosted all weather connectivity, and it is good for business to it is good for business. Golden quadrilateral project, key national highway network that improved rural urban linkages. Recent road expansion, 2,25,000 kilometers of new rural roads built in the last 5 years. Total road length now is at 6,81,000 kilometers across rural India. Surprising, this is a very good number. Railway infrastructure growth, around 800 new trains launched in last 5 years, enhance the mobility and access for rural population. And as for the and these data are equally important for the marketers, because most of the marketing activities are dependent on logistic part. Investors focus and agri-tech startup surges. Rapid growth in agri-tech investment, over 6.6 crore invested in by 2020 with 50% annual growth rate. Key focus areas: solving systematic agricultural issues, promoting sustainability and inclusive growth, investment from national and international players, fueling innovation in rural belt, tech-based solution in marketplace access, shortage, storage, transport and agronomy devices. Large-scale operators focus on cost reduction and scaling operation across the rural markets. That means slowly rural areas are getting exposed to all urban area activities. Let it be investor focus or agri-tech startup companies in rural belt. New business model across agricultural value chain. These are the business model. Startup examples like crop and weather related information services. Krishi Hub built an advisory platform to provide farmers with the crop advisories, news and information about the government schemes, tutorials and articles on modern farming practices. Harvesting, smart tech enabling sowing. Bharat Agri Enablers. These are all startup companies. Enable smart farming practices through personalized algorithm based or machine language is utilized in it. Advisory on soil, water and other conditions. So the farmers are now getting the information at a finger click. Strategic entry into rural market. What are the strategic entry a rural marketer can think of? Rural market, a tough nut to crack, historically ignored due to logistic and perceived low potential. Success stories like Unilever and Colgate show value to long-term commitment. Initially, rural belts or rural markets were ignored due to challenges like infrastructure, challenges like low literacy rate, challenges like low buying power at rural belt. But slowly, with the success of Unilever and Colgate, the long-term commitment as a value, if you are interested for rural marketing, is established. Rural market is not one size fit all. Complex mix of economic, social and cultural realities. Consumers can be shy, consumer can be cautious, can low on product awareness. So if you are in a mood to fix your strategies on one size fits all, then the marketer may face the failures in rural marketing process at rural markets. Indian brands in rural. Brands like Dabur, Balaji, Bisc Farm have had limited but growing success in rural market. So entering rural markets need patience, presence and persistence. That means marketers need to have proper right information about rural market, right analysis of their culture, social, economic, technical background, right understanding of their need, and the real soft skill that is known as persistence. They need to wait for the profit to be earned. We cannot expect, if I'm investing today or I'm introducing my product today, tomorrow I will get the return on it. Then these marketers may face the failure for their marketing activities. The 4 A's of rural marketing. To simplify all the things, there is a model of 4A. You can remember this also. The first A is affordability, then the availability, then awareness and acceptability. Affordability products must deliver value for money, not just the low cost, value for money. Rural buyers may buy premium items also, like Bolero, Fortuner, as well as essential, because we know there are many rich or wealthy farmers residing at Haryana and Punjab, but then they are calculating or they are assessing the value for money. They are not very conscious on low cost for the product. Availability. So there are many challenges for this. We know there are limitation on infrastructure, but slowly, with the numbers we discussed in the previous slide, infrastructure problem is are getting slowly solved. Supply chain issues often lead to stockouts like fruity and others short-term, short lifespan products. If you are having right decision on how to make available your product to the consumer, your marketing strategy, through your marketing strategy, then you can face the success. Consistent availability build trust. If your products are available whenever the need of the consumer is there, then they will start having the trust on your product. Awareness, low literacy and exposure, low product knowledge because of low literacy rate. Digital inclusion helps close this gap. You can take the help of digital inclusion that can close this gap by educating the customers or the consumers on your product knowledge. The last A is acceptability. Here, for this point, you have to take a proper note of cultural rigidity, acceptance, influence, or the influencer's influence while adapting the product. Word of mouth, as discussed, and local influencers play key roles in market success because they used to regulate the buying decision or the buying behavior of the consumers or rural consumers. Let's summarize the entire unit. This is the flow diagram. You can go through it. The rural market holds immense potential because 4.5 lakh villages are yet to tap, but only a fraction of India's 6 lakhs 50,000 villages have been effectively reached. These two units highlights how rural realities, once marked by inaccessibility and resistance, are now shifting due to the development and digital transformation. Smartphones and the internet have become the tools for empowerment and business. People are now using smartphones as discussed. They are exposed to internets. They are exposed to information. So they are taking their decision based on those information, not just communications. As you study the 4 P's of marketing in rural context, always ground your decision or marketing decision on these 4 P's. These 4 P's are affordability, availability, awareness, and acceptability. If you are strategizing or you are planning to write your marketing strategies based on these 4 P's in rural context, and by taking all the factors of their social life, their environmental life, their way of income, their jobs, their seconds, their shopping behavior, then you can shape your rural consumers behavior and you can channelize their behavior to their positive and right behavior towards the purchase of your product. With this, we have finally discussed all the 3 units of your chapter unit 1, and I hope all of you have understood the details on different rural environment 1 and rural environment 2, and you have already understood who is a rural customer and consumer and what are the factors the marketers need to take care of while introducing the product to them, while this is strategizing the marketing strategy for the rural belt. What should be the pricing strategy, what should be the distribution channel, what should be the influencer or the advertising channel strategies for them. You need to take care of every part and every element of marketing decision. With this, let's end this unit. Thank you so much.